again, everyone. The weather outside is complete and utter crap today. Typical sort of weather that you get round here, a little too frequently actually, and that's put me in a good frame of mind for a little rant, and probably just picking up a little and following on from my last one where I sort of talked about why I choose to own and work on motorbikes from the pre-1980 period. It just sort of came to mind a little while ago today, that as a sort of special favour for a friend of a friend, I did actually work on something quite a bit more recent than that. So recent, in fact, and this was only perhaps within the last 2 years, that it was still under warranty. And the job that needed doing was the regulator rectifier unit had gone pop on it, and it had stopped charging, and it left the guy stranded. And okay, so fair enough, he wanted to bring the bike to me. His dealer apparently was too busy for the following few weeks to be able to do it, and the guy who owned the bike had somewhere that he wanted to be on it within the following week or so. So the dealer sanctioned it that he would supply the regulator rectifier unit because he knew of me, and trusted me to do a good enough job of it, which really, fitting it itself was only a matter of unplugging the old one and plugging a new one in. Great! Except that the regulator rectifier on this machine was buried down behind the back of the engine and gearbox unit. In front of the rear wheel there was some sort of carbon canister between the wheel and it as well. The rear tyre was worn out, so it actually tied in nicely with the fact that we also had to remove the rear wheel, which gave us better access to change the regulator rectifier unit. And it took myself, the guy who owned it, and his mate, I think we were here for a couple of hours, scratching our heads and working out how best to try and do it. But there it was, in all the muck and weather, getting flung off the rear wheel and everything. It was covered in crap and filth, you know, flung up from the road and whatever. And whether water had got into it or whatever, I don't know. But what a stupid place to put the thing to start with. Anyway, we managed to change it, and that got it running and charging again, no problem. But the thing that struck me was this bike. Now, he was riding along, happily minding his own business, enjoying it great, you know, and it was a sort of modern, retro, classic style thing. And all of a sudden, it just sort of spluttered and fizzled out because of this regulator rectifier failing. Now, he might have got further down the road had he had perhaps, for instance, an ammeter, or perhaps there might have been a charge warning light on it. It probably would have been actually. But the silly thing about it is that on top of the regulator rectifier failing, not only did that mean that everything was running off the battery to provide the sparks, but on top of that, the lights were on, and there's no way you can switch them off. You turn the ignition key on, the lights come on. Great. So the bike assumes that you're an idiot, or the people who make and design the bike, or the people who make the rules and regulations, someone somewhere at least thinks that you're a complete idiot that can't decide for yourself, oh, it's a bit dark or it's a bit grey or whatever, I'll put my lights on, they are on. Great. So when the thing stops charging, not only are you on borrowed time for the sparks, your time's going to be a lot less because your lights are on and you can't switch them off. Now, combine that again with the fact that if you grind to a halt, you stop there, the engine's stopped running, your lights are still switched on but probably dim and going out, you've got absolutely no chance of switching them off. And even if you did have, and you could reserve enough power in the battery to maybe get the engine going and get a few miles to somewhere, I don't know, more suitable to be picked up, or maybe even home if you're lucky, guess what, you want to start it? You know, kickstart. You've got to press a button. and suck even more power out of that battery that's not being charged anymore. And this guy was stranded. He got recovered to go home. Now, just down there, I've got a little Triumph Tiger Cub, which we've seen on YouTube before now, start on a flat battery by switching the ignition key to what's called emergency start position. And if anything goes wrong, I mean, admittedly there are things that can stop it dead and you're buggered, but from a charging point of view or anything like that, switch to the emergency. If it won't go within a few kicks, it'll certainly probably go if you push it, and off you go again with a bit of luck. But this thing, no, that's it, dead, forget it. Phone for roadside assistance, get it carted away, you are going nowhere. And that, my friends, is progress, and that is another reason why I like the older stuff. But for God's sake, why can't they put kickstarts on some, alright, not all of, I mean it doesn't perhaps warrant it on all the bikes you get now, but there are so many of them that could have a kickstart on them. People don't have to use them. Maybe they're designed with older people in mind whose legs don't work so well anymore, I don't know what it is, or do younger people not know how to kickstart a bike? I'm not sure, but even if I had the choice of button or kickstarting, that's what I would want, a choice. What is the point of taking away your sort of backup starting aid when it hits the fan? You want to be able to switch the lights off, save the power in your battery, give it a kick, and you might just get going again and get yourself further up the road, or even perhaps to safety, because it could have been going dark when that happened to that guy, and he'd have been stuck on the side of the road with that bike in the dark with no lights, nothing, sitting duck. But there we are, that's the end of another good rant. Well, good for me I suppose, but it sprang to mind after making the other video. I sometimes wonder about this thing they call progress and whether it's actually always going in the right direction. Thanks for watching.